So how often should you be songwriting? I get asked this question a lot. The answer I always give is daily. And that scares people. And I get it. We're all busy. We all live busy lives with family and work and responsibilities. But what if I told you that songwriting doesn't have to mean writing a song? Hey songwriters, if you're new here, my name's Celine, and for the last 3 decades, I've been building a daily songwriting habit that works on my craft, but also fits into my daily life. And today, I'm excited to tell you about just a few of the game-changing activities you can do on a daily basis to improve your own songwriting. And the best thing is that they can take as little as 10 minutes per day. You're intrigued, I can see that. Let's get onto it. Before we actually get into the tips and exercises though, I just want to touch on this writing daily that I've mentioned already. So doing some kind of writing every single day, even if it's just for 10-15 minutes, can build a really strong creative habit that can really lead the way in your overall songwriting productivity. Think of it as a daily workout for your songwriting. The more you're practicing, the easier it's going to become over time, and as I am forever going on about on this channel, it can lead you to write more songs. And I also want to tell you that it's actually a practice I completely rebelled against at first. Oh, the naivety of my youth. But it all changed when I got involved in different songwriting programs and retreats, etc. And when I was working with professional songwriters, they reminded me that they write every single day. And they were encouraging me to do the same. So here I am now, encouraging you guys to take on this habit of writing daily. And you're probably going to rebel against me as well. Oh, the irony. And a lot of people tell me that they're too busy in their daily lives to make time for songwriting every day. But quite honestly, I don't believe them. And I'm sorry if that's a harsh reality, but I was in those shoes. I was the one saying, I haven't got time for this. And I have learnt and developed my own daily writing habit using focus drills and important exercises that has enabled me to become a much more prolific, creative songwriter. Finding 5, 10, 20 minutes per day for activities that are going to build and develop your passion for songwriting is not as difficult as it sounds. We really just need to point you in the right direction. And then I hope you're going to realise that songwriting isn't always writing songs. Crazy as that sounds. I also want to take this opportunity to mention a video that I watched recently by content creator and YouTuber Rick Beato. He was interviewing Adam Duritz from the Counting Crows, and it was an absolutely sublime interview about songwriting and where the Counting Crows came from and how they developed through it with songwriting. Adam's writing and the Crows have been such an influence to me in my own songwriting. And it was really interesting to hear Adam say that he discovered songwriting in his freshman year at college and he wrote his very first song. And then every single day after that, he wrote songs or was songwriting. Around his college timetable, he was finding time and space to make sure he was writing every day. And that habit stretched all up until, I think he said, his first album with the Counting Crows was released, August and everything after. Immense album, by the way. You should listen if you've not. And it was only then that he really needed to kind of make time for other activities, and he slowed his songwriting practice down. But when he was younger, in his early days, he didn't even think his songs were any good, but he wrote them anyway. And that daily writing habit created in him what has become an extensive career. And this approach to being a songwriter is what I encourage everyone to follow. Even if you don't have aspirations to become a professional songwriter or are writing because you're an artist that want to sell millions of albums, just that kind of creative habit of writing daily is enough to catapult your passion, whatever you want to call it, whatever songwriting is to you. Everyone wants to get better at it, and this is one of the biggest reasons that I believe my songwriting has improved over the years. The other thing about that interview with Adam Duritz is that Rick let Adam talk. He asked really insightful questions, but then didn't interrupt him or overtalk at all. It was such a great interview. I'm going to put a link in the description if those of you that want to watch it, but let's get back to the daily writing habits. I wonder how many of you would say that you spend time on any given day doom scrolling or arguing with idiots on the internet, for example. I know I do, and I really have to work hard to kind of not waste my time doing these activities. And instead, I found a really good way to spend my wasted time instead, what I call ideation activities. And ideation is the skill of generating and developing ideas. Yes, you heard that correctly. Having ideas is a skill. And these ideation activities can be as simple as writing song titles or hook lines in my pocketbook. And yes, this is songwriting just as much as writing songs is songwriting. And I've been known to be scribbling title ideas and hook ideas on my phone in a note while I'm waiting for the coffee to be brewed. It's just using those small packets of time to my best. And these titles and hooks can be farmed later on when I am actually writing songs for inspiration or to be worked on in other ways. But the idea is, pun intended, is that these ideation activities take up so little time, you can really slot them in around all sorts of other things in your day. Now, if I have a little more time, then I might take up an activity I call one-sentence song summaries, which is really difficult to say out loud. And what these are, they're basically song ideas or summarising a song idea into a single sentence. But the main premise here for a one-sentence song summary, definitely not easy to say, is that it has to be one sentence without the use of and or because or any other continuation words. And the reason for that is, when you can summarise your song idea into one single sentence, you're making sure the core message is clear before you start writing that song. So this can take me from 5 to 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. It all depends on how many of these one sentence song summaries, I need a new name for them. It depends on how many of them I'm going to be writing for the idea. And having more than one of these summaries is actually what I strive for, because the first one is often the most obvious. So I want to write more than one song summary so that I've got the less obvious ones to pick at to make my song more interesting. Another one of these ideation activities I like to play around with, I call paraphrasing. And that's when you take a phrase or sentence that might be overused or a little bland, and you try and write as many different ways to say that sentence as possible, but make them more interesting. So you could take a common phrase such as "I'm here for you" and write 5 to 10 different ways to say this more interestingly, such as "I'm just one call away," or "You'll never walk alone," or even "Lean on me when you're not strong." Do you see how that might work? And this has been an absolute goldmine for future songwriting sessions for me, is to take this phrase that is quite common and to write it in these different ways can spark inspiration like nobody's business. Honestly, I have found so many brand new songs just from this one activity that I do this at least once a week now. And again, it can take between 5, 10, normally actually with this activity, it's a little bit longer. So maybe 15 to 20 minutes per day is no time at all though. I could do that while having lunch, while I'm eating a sandwich. Okay, so focus drills are a little bit different to the ideation activities and exercises we've just been talking about. They still take very short amounts of time, but they don't necessarily lead on to further inspiration or to be able to use things for journaling, etc. They literally are drills, micro exercises to help improve your use of language or chord progressions, etc. But what they are great ways to develop and work certain sections of songwriting that I was at that time needing to make improvements on and rely on for my bigger writing of songs. So my favourite of these are called rhyme ladders, where you start with a target word, random or specific to an idea you've generated, and then you build on it with different types of rhymes climbing up the ladder. one syllable, two syllables, near rhymes, perfect rhymes, multi-syllabic rhymes, all those different things in this short drill exercise. So here's an example of a rhyme ladder structure I use. So I pick a starting word, let's use the word leave, and then I add two perfect rhymes, which in this case can be weave and grieve. Then next, I add two near rhymes or close rhymes. These could be breathe or cheap. And then I go on up further up the ladder and I add two syllable rhymes. So conceive or asleep. And you notice I've got a perfect one and a near one there. I don't always do that, it's just the first ones that came to mind. And then on top of that, we add a two-word rhyme as well. And this might be backseat, using that near rhyme in the second word. And then I might add a multi-syllabic rhyme, which, going back to our initial word of leave, might be disbelief. And then to top it off, I always try and find a really left field random rhyme, which could be, in this case, it already popped into my head when I first mentioned the word leave, cheese or Steve. So there you can see how a rhyme ladder might work and just how quickly we did that. That was less than 60 seconds. And what I've done in the past is I've asked ChatGPT to generate me a list of 30 one-syllable and two-syllable words that I can use to do these rhyme ladders. Some of them are a little bit too off the wall and I struggle quite a bit, but that struggle is part of the learning process. And what I found is that I am now using a rhyming dictionary hardly ever during my songwriting. Taking away that reliance on the outside source means that I'm coming up with the rhymes for the context of which I'm writing and not finding a really nice word in a rhyming dictionary and trying to elbow that or shoehorn that into the context of the idea and the song. And another one of my favourite focus drills is what I call metaphor mix-up, which is taking a well-known metaphor or idiom or phrase and then just changing it a little bit to flip it on its head. So let's use the example of the common phrase heart of gold. But what if he had a heart of silver? What might that say about somebody? And I'll show you what I might do in this exercise. We'll use another example here of the phrase, life is a highway, already a brilliant song, but we'll just use that as our phrase to starters. Life is a highway makes me think of a fast-paced, moving quickly, going long distances, all those kind of things. So I'm going to mash it up and work it into death is a highway. No, let's not be morbid. Let's try it another way. How about life is a back road? Whose life might be described as a back road? So I scribble down what it makes me think of, and it conjures thoughts of avoidance, trying to go slower, looking out the window as you're going and taking everything in around you on the journey. And because I'm used to doing this exercise and drill now, my brain's already off running with ideas of a song about kind of taking the back roads to avoid the pressures of life and enjoying the journey along the way, trying to avoid the rush and the manic things that happen on a daily basis in our lives. Kind of what this video is all about. Taking time away from the busy to make time for the good, positive things. And what happens then is once you've started down this road of spending 5 or 10 minutes, I find that I have so many ideas buzzing around my head that I might even pick my guitar up straight away and start scratching out some ideas. So these kind of activities are not only great when you're short on time, they're also perfect if you're struggling for inspiration and to get yourself out of some writer's block. Now, I know what you're thinking. I mentioned journaling a lot in my videos, and there's a very, very good reason for that. It's because I do believe it's created a monumental shift in my creative habits and my songwriting as a whole. And I have got a lot of songwriting, journaling focused videos planned for the future, so do make sure you're subscribed if you're interested in learning about how, as a songwriter, I use different styles of journaling to develop my songwriting habits and to write songs. However, I will hold my hands up and say that I don't do journaling every day. I go through periods of time in really creative phases where I do journal every day. But what happens, I get too many ideas and I need to focus on getting those ideas written and those written songs polished and ready for release, etc. So I can't journal every day because it just kind of blows up and I get a little bit stressed, a little bit of anxiety about it all. And I get it's a very positive position to be in, to have too many ideas for songs, but it's a battle for me, and it's something that I have to work through. So my daily journaling habits have now become more regular journaling habits. But one of the ways when I do journal, I set aside 10 minutes of the day. Again, a very short amount of time. 10 minutes is nothing. I set aside the 10 minutes, normally when I'm having a coffee in the morning, before I start any of the work or before the pressures of the day kind of start mounting up, and I journal. Sometimes I even use journaling to kind of rant out things that I'm angry about, because what happens then is it kind of clears my thought process and my creativity is a lot more fruitful after I've done something like this. And I find those sessions so cathartic. But also, I have been known to find some little snippets of inspiration in there to write songs with later on. But this kind of free writing and just kind of downloading onto a page, as I call it, I found that really quite difficult to start with. So there's some other ways that you can get into journaling if you've not already got that as part of one of your habits. I found using journaling prompts exceptionally helpful to begin with, to get me into the right mindset and to start that habit. But nowadays, I'm more often than not writing a song title from my song title list at the top of a page and using that as the inspiration for writing 1 or 2 full pages of journaling where I just kind of download onto the page. I could also use one of those 1-sentence song summaries as inspiration to journal. I'll take that 1 sentence, write it at the top of my page, and again, just kind of free flow write all about what I think that song might be about based on that 1 sentence. And I can then find some interesting phrases, some key words that I want to include in my song once I've done that kind of free writing. And in my last video, I also talked about creating a random scenario using a who, where, and when of which to then influence your journaling, especially if you're going to be doing sense writing. And then I just allow my creativity to go wild. And I often find that if I'm writing with a pen and paper, I have to slow my thought process down a little bit, and it makes it more intentional. It's a lot different, I find, to typing out randomly. I can type a lot faster than I can write with a pen, but doing it with a pen slows my thought process down a little bit and has been a massive help for my mental health in learning how to control how fast my brain runs. Now, journaling isn't a new creation that's happened in the last few years. It's been around for ages. And depending on where you've learnt about the habit, it could be known as morning pages, object writing, sense writing, brain dumping even. I like to call it downloading onto a page as a kind of reference to the modern 21st century. But it can literally be whatever you need it to be. And you can utilise it not just for your songwriting, but just for your overall creative process. And if you're interested in a 7-day journaling Kickstarter program that's totally free, just drop a comment to this video and I'll contact you and send you that directly. Now, we couldn't talk about daily writing habits without touching on actually writing songs. The whole ethos of this channel is to help you write more songs. But I want to caveat that a little bit by telling you that not all your songs need to be perfect, and you can actually just write songs for the sake of it, to try out a new technique, to learn a new style, to try and learn a new software or DAW. And seriously, I wrote a song purely and simply because I was writing in the one song structure, a verse, chorus, bridge, chorus song structure, and I wanted to break out of that mold. So I sat down and decided today I'm going to write a song in the AABA form instead of my usual verse chorus format. And I was writing it as a throwaway song just to try something different. I honestly wasn't expecting anything to come out of it, but I played it during a song feedback session in the Songwriting Community that I'm part of, and the feedback was really positive. So I said, well, I'm going to take it to the next steps. which for me then is a rewriting process where I kind of polished it, tidied things up a little bit. I added lots of sensory language into the song because I'd been doing a lot of sense writing and journaling at the time. And actually I wanted to see how that would really translate into a song full of sensory language. And then I really enjoyed playing the song. So I decided I was going to record it. So I went to the recording studio, and the two guys, session musicians and producers that I work with, I said, I don't want to record this the normal way. This whole song has been an experiment up until this point. I want to record it differently. Now I always record with an acoustic guitar in every one of my songs because that's my instrument of choice. So we recorded it with just electric guitars, 2 electric guitars, a kick drum, and the occasional snare. I think there's like 7 snare hits in this entire song, and that's all it was. And I released it, got a lot of great feedback about that song, and it all started as an experiment to try a new technique, as a song I thought was going to be completely throwaway, but turned into the song titled I Rolled the Window Down. And what happened was I was experimenting, and that experimenting pushed me out of my comfort zone, and it enabled me to try new techniques, and I got really excited about something that I'd never tried before, and it's a massive part of songwriting for me. And I believe what had happened is, with my daily writing habit, I'd created such a momentum in my songwriting that this song came together. The initial creative phase was less than an hour. I think the rewriting phase was another hour on top of that. The recording phase, we recorded the entire song in less than 3 hours in the studio. So for a total of 5 hours, I had gone from initial song idea, throwaway song without a chorus, AABA format, through to ready to release. That's just crazy. I think that speed of production and development for my song came from my daily writing habits. I find now, because of this habit that I've generated and this practice that I do on a daily basis, I am able to write things quicker because I'm used to having these short, snappy little exercises that I work on regularly. It means when I'm writing songs, I'm like lightning fast. And we've kind of deviated a little bit from the daily writing habits here, but what I'm trying to get across to you guys is the more I incorporated different daily activities, exercises, drills, habits, I was writing more songs. I was writing better songs. And I was overall just more confident in my own songwriting. So who doesn't want that? So there we go. I could talk for hours about different daily writing exercises and drills that I use and the benefits of doing them. But I'm going to save you my rambling, and we're going to leave that to some future videos. But I would love for you to kind of subscribe and like this video if you've got any genuine value out of it, and join me in the comments to talk about some things that you want to ask questions or any recommendations you have for other things that you get up to on a daily basis. And speaking of daily songwriting habits, my brand new 30-day lyric writing challenge, Level Up Your Lyrics, is available from your local Amazon store. It is a book containing 30 different exercises to do every day that will level up your lyrics in no time. And these exercises take anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes maximum per day. There's an additional overdrive element to every one of these exercises, meaning that the book can be used more than once to inspire you. And the elements in the book are also written in such a way that you can go back through this book a few times before you start repeating yourself. And I believe it will really help you guys to cement a daily writing habit, being guided every single day with a new activity to follow. And seeing as you've made it all the way through this video, right the way to the end, you might be interested in this video here, which is all about common mistakes that I see songwriters making when they're writing new songs. I'll see you in the next one.